Greetings, everyone. My name is Shannon Ayers of Hello Beautiful by Shannon Ayers. And as most of you all know by now, we all received the very, very sad news of Mr. Chadwick Boseman. What came to mind immediately when I heard what happened to him was thinking about my own husband, who was diagnosed with colon cancer late last year. And he just finished his chemotherapy, and we're just coming off of he and I both testing positive for COVID-19. And so it definitely has us to really appreciate our life and our health, because if anybody knows anything about a cancer patient that's on chemotherapy, your immune system is very compromised. And it takes upwards to a year in order for your immune system to gain normal strength of your average healthy person. When the Black Panther craze was going on, and I personally saw Black Panther at the movie theaters probably about a good 10 times. And each time I watched it, it was like watching it for the first time. And so a lot of people questioned, it's just a movie. What's the big deal? People had their criticisms, and people could not understand what the hype was all about and why it means so much. I won't even say meant, I will say means so much, because it still does to our community and people who look like us, and to some people who don't. What Chadwick Boseman brought to Black Panther was, I think, what he embodied both on and off the screen. It was a genuineness. It was somebody who really cares about people in generally, and more specifically our community. And he exuded every bit of that on the screen. To hear about his death, it was as if it was a family member. God has his reasons for allowing everything to happen. So we feel blessed and grateful that he walked amongst us for the time that he did and left the body of work that he did. Definitely offer our prayers to his family and loved ones at this time. In 2020, I see it all the time on Facebook and on social media and on TV. It's like, 2020 needs to be gone. What's going on in 2020? We have all of these different, just tragedies that are happening in 2020. And so I won't say why 2020. I won't say why, why God are we going through all of these different things, and why are all of these things happening in this year? Even though we all may be experiencing a lot because we're living in it present time, there were many years long before any one of us were even born that I'm sure the citizens of that time were probably asking the same questions. And so this is the challenge that I pose really for all of us, and me included, because I have my moments. Instead of saying, I want 2020 to be over with, and, how much more tragedy can we take? Let's step back for a moment and look at what's going on around us and understand that everything happens for a reason, good things and bad things. It's much easier to celebrate the good things when the good things are happening. It's that much more difficult when we're right in the crux of it, and on the crux of it, and in the middle of it. But I am a firm believer, even in my darkest hour, that everything happens for a reason. I'm sure most of you are probably aware of the latest tragedy with Sweetie Pies and Miss Robbie and her son, Tim. Even that was heartbreaking, because watching Sweetie Pies, it was almost like you were a part of the family, watching their happenings and goings on in their business and in their family. All we know is what we've heard thus far, what was put out on the blogs, and everybody wants to talk tea, and and we really don't know all of the facts and all of the details. But if any of that is true, it's again, it's very, very heartbreaking, and my heart goes out to Miss Robbie and her family. It's just a tragedy that just seems like it's just going in a repeat cycle, from the time her grandson Andre was murdered. Fast forward to today with her own son being accused of his murder. We just have so many tragic things that are going on right now. And I just want to encourage you to know that this won't always be. Tragedy is a part of life. Death is a part of life. Heartache, it's a part of life. Um, and I'm hoping that those of us that are really having a hard time during this quarantine, that are going through financial struggles, that are going through heartbreak, heartache, that are going through poverty, lost businesses, um, lost loved ones. I know it may be easier said than done, but keep your head up. Being born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana, we've seen our fair share of tragedy. During, right prior to Hurricane Katrina, my husband and my kids and myself, we were at home in New Orleans on vacation for 30 days because we were living in Iceland at the time and had just come home to spend time with family. Right before Hurricane Katrina hit. Well, right before, I think it was the day before we were due to board the plane from Iceland, is when we found out that my mother-in-law was terminally ill and that she was only given just a few days to live. Now, it was a shock and it was a blow, especially to my husband, because other than, having diabetes and some other health issues, she seemed to be functioning well and she seemed to be in pretty good health. So to hear that right before we were getting ready to come home, that both of my parents are still here with me, so I can only imagine how that was for my husband. So suffice it to say, it was a long plane ride, longer than usual, coming from overseas to home. The blessing in it was that we were able to make it home in time for my husband to not only spend some quality time with his mom, he was able to baptize his mom. He was able to sit with her and read scriptures with her. I was able to sit with her and let her see her grandson. All she wanted to do was just see her grandson. And the day after she laid eyes on my son, the very next day she had lost all of her sight. Why am I saying all of this? Because even in the midst of tragedy, there are some small blessings, and some small blessings that actually turn out to be pretty large. So no matter what else comes up in 2020, no matter what else is going on, dealing with Laura and Marco and the devastation, for Louisiana and Texas residents, we don't know what else 2020 is going to bring. But once you get to a point where you can kind of collect yourself, because we have to go through the human process of grieving, of depression, and all of those different stages that the human self has to experience in order to get to a place where you can determine where you go from there. Once you get beyond that point, I encourage you to know that there will be a better day. There will be a better time. Even if it's small victories. The fact that you woke up this morning, it may not seem like a victory, but you have yet another day, and just some more time to hopefully experience something better. So I just want to encourage you to be strong, encourage you to know that it's going to be okay. And I would even venture further to say that it is okay. Um, this COVID-19 came out of nowhere for all of us. When the doctor told me, my husband and I both, that we needed to retest because our first test came back negative and we were still showing symptoms. And when she said, no, I think that was a false negative. I need you guys to test again. And that same day we tested, and the very next day we got a call from the Georgia Department of Health stating that we were COVID positive. My heart sank. Not even for myself, just thinking about my husband, just finishing up chemotherapy and understanding what that could mean for him, and all kinds of things raced through my head. I didn't tell him, but I had all kinds of worry and stress and strife. But the very next day, I was feeling awful myself, going through with my own symptoms. And then I just had to stop for a moment and then just look at the blessing in all of this. Not a blessing that we tested positive, but the blessing is that we're still here, because everybody can't say that. So I just say, just be encouraged. Just be encouraged to know that there will be a better day. There will be a better time. Sometimes it's a choice of the state of mind that we choose to entertain. And I know that may sound harsh to some, and it's not intended to, but sometimes if we step back and decide how we want to feel, then we realize we're really in a lot more control than what we thought we were. So keep your head up, be encouraged, be blessed, and be inspired, and just know that we're all in this together, and it's not just a cliche. So hang in there, and again, prayers for the Boseman family, prayers for Miss Robbie Montgomery and her family. There was another sports figure, and his first name is Cliff. I think it was Cliff Robinson, if I'm not mistaken. He's a basketball player. Prayers for his family. Prayers for the hurricane victims and, the tragedies that resulted, from that natural disaster. Blessings to the 39 children in Georgia that were found, and prayers going up for them, and prayers going up for the ones who have yet to be found. Just be encouraged. Just know that things are going to always happen. Things are going to keep going on. It's just how we choose to process it that's going to determine what the next day is going to look like. So you be blessed, be encouraged, and be inspired.